Hello everybody, this is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music, and in this video we're going to get into the Vienna Smart Orchestra, which has a 140-piece orchestra. It's a great library for sketching ideas and for inspiration, and the instruments are spread out over the entire keyboard, so it's best to use it with an 88 keyboard controller. The library also has special effects presets for hybrid soundscapes and organic textures, and it's designed to conserve resources, and it's currently on sale for a few more days until September 30th. You can play the entire orchestra with full dynamics, adjust the balance of the main sections such as strings, woodwinds, brass, mallets, drums, and percussion in the mixer, or play these sections separately. Not only that, you can add selected solo instruments such as flute, oboe, clarinet, French horn, trumpet, or an ensemble of first violins over the accompanying ensemble played with your left hand. Customized layers such as subtle pianissimo string pads or fortissimo brass breakouts make it easy to find the right tone in a split second. The marcato control feature enables you to play everything from smooth legato lines to aggressive ostinatos in just one patch by simply moving a pre-configured fader. All sections and solo instruments are placed at Synchron Stage Vienna, which is an excellent sounding scoring stage, and they use the Vienna Mir Pro technology, which is integrated right into the multi-channel mixer of the Vienna Synchron Player, which came out fairly recently. So let's go ahead and hear it in action. So here we have the interface, the Synchron Player, and what I've done in the Vienna Smart Orchestra, I've loaded the Smart Orchestra. There are a couple of other smart orchestras where you have bass instruments reduced and no bass instruments at all. So this is the sort of the full version. And if we start out with orchestra, with the first patch, you get your shorts and percussion. And this would be the staccato, articulation. And here's what it sounds like. So in the left hand, you have your bass strings and your brass. Your low brass. Here's your trumpets up here, you can tell. You can hear some woodwinds in there. And then there's your percussion, bass drum, and so on. And you can see where the percussion is located by clicking on this icon. It tells you the bass drum. You have a bass drum roll, and you can go up the keys, bass drum again, snare rolls, and so on up to your triangles and concert toms. Now, notice in the mixer, we're in the mixer view here, we can solo the strings. Or you can solo the woodwinds. And you can also mix the levels of the strings, woodwinds, and here's your brass. Okay, also we have the long articulation. Let's go ahead and unmute that. So there you have the orchestra playing in unison. There's your percussion. And then we have pad plus solo. So in this case, you're going to get the full orchestra with pads. And then you can solo, in this case, with the violins, or you could change to flutes, oboes, clarinet, trumpets, or horns. So. And you can use the expression pedal for volume. So your soloing violins are legato up here. And then your pads are polyphonic. So you have the entire orchestra. And again, you can mix them the way you want them, strings, woodwinds, and brass. And here would be an example of the flutes with the pads. So. Here's your oboe. One thing about the Vienna Symphonic Library, the instruments are extremely clean. There's your horns, your horn actually. So there's your low note. And you have your orchestra down here. And then notice we have orchestra plus mallets. So right now we're on the pad plus solo, but we could do short. And then you have your long plus percussion. This is with the mallets. Also notice the strings are in tremolo. And we could also do normal. So we have all these articulations on the long plus percussion. And there's your percussion up there. Notice we have marcato, fortissimo, fortissimo marcato. So you have as much power as you want. Pianissimo, tremolos. Here's your woodwinds. And your strings with the tremolo. Tremolo marcato. You can add woodwinds long to that. Add the brass longs. And then of course you have your pad plus solo. With a flute solo here. Very nice sounds. I mean, VSL is known for clean sounds. Then you can just do strings. So here we have, let's do the short percussion. We're doing just strings. Or if you want staccato. And then your percussion on top. Then you could do longs, and then you have your various articulations for long strings, normal. Then we got into the percussion there. And then we could do string pads with solo instruments, maybe clarinet. Amazing, even the high notes are crystal clear. And then of course we could do solos with trumpets and horns. Then we have woodwinds by themselves. So this way you don't have to mute them out if you had all three of them, like we do with the orchestral patch. So if you just want to do a sketch involving woodwinds only, you can do that. So there's your bassoon. Now you get your oboe coming in. Flutes. And then you have your brass isolated. So trombones, bass, there are tubas, trumpets, horns all together. Then mallets. Oh, by the way, with brass, of course, you can do solos too, right? So here's your short brass. So lots of variety. We can do mallets by themselves. And also they have their own patch, their own fader, so you can bring them out anytime they're included, like in the Orchestra Plus palettes. We could just solo them. So you can get to patches in a couple of ways. Then you have the solo instruments full range. So here's your violins. So if you want to just sketch a solo, so that would be your high note right there. Now, same for a flute. And it's a solo legato. So notice one thing that is missing here is the different articulations for solo, but then again, it's for sketching. So there's your oboe. Now, the other thing we have is a lot of special effects. Here's your pads. So here's the first one, Shimmering Promise. And if you'll notice, we have these effects, compressor, room reverb. And if I were to solo the strings, you can see it's not a regular string patch. So if I take the compressor off, you still hear there's been some modification done. So that's the way the patch normally is. And then of course they have woodwinds in as well, and brass. But it's an interesting effect. Let's look at the brooding force patch. And you have about 10 of those. Here's Ice Palace. Then you have the category of plucks. So here's Needles in the Sky. And you can add effects to these pads. You could put in delay, you can put in distortion, you have saturation, cabinet, dynamics, compressor, expander, limiter, noise gate, filters. You have a variety of filters, high pass, low pass, notch, SVF, notch, and so on. And you also have different modulation options. So you can tweak these, different kinds, a couple of different kinds of reverb, utility, invert, power pan, sample delay, and so on. Here's Breathe and Wait in the plucks category. So let's try that again. You double click these and then they come up. Here's Jungle Sign. You can see they've got the mallets in there for sure, and then these are all the effects they've added. Notice to the and then if you go to their website, they get more detail into how the effects work with the auxiliaries. Then we have leads. We have the hybrid flubo, which is like a cross between a flute and an oboe. And again, if I take out the compressor, you can see they've actually done something with the, combine the sounds together of the two instruments. Then we have, say, Wake Up Call. And you can see that's trumpet violin patch. And then here's Soaring. So they've combined violins and clarinet. And then they've distorted the instruments. Here's the clarinet by itself. Without the compressor, so you can see the root sound has been distorted. Or sound design, I guess is a better word to use. So you can adjust the levels of each of them and get your own mix that you like. And then we have process percussion, which is consists of the same instruments we saw before. You have your toms. There's your bass drum there, and then they do something with those same instruments, call it punchy percussion. So it has a little more, there's the punchy preset. Maybe a little more compression to it. And then there's something called doom percussion, which are the same instruments, but their sound design distorted somewhat, as you can see there. That was the bass drum distorted. And then if we go here again, we can see where the keys are assigned. There's your snare, level. So you see it's been distorted really. So that gives you a quick and brief rundown of the different patches and how they work together. So this is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music signing off. If you wish to subscribe, please do, and you have the option of being notified when I post another video. Also, if you would please like the video if you like it. So Bill McFadden signing off from Tone Pure Music.